Hello YouTube, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. So what is this all about? Well, after about 30 years of procrastination, I finally decided last June or July, so 6 months ago now, to teach myself C++ programming. So I didn't go in blindly. I've been programming all sorts of languages since the early days of the ZX81 back in the 1980s. Commodore 64, Amiga 500, Amiga 1200, brilliant machines, early PC development. Then I had a bit of a hiatus when I went and did my military service, came back, got a lot of time on my hands last summer, and I thought, do you know what, let's do what we always wanted to do and actually learn a proper programming language. So I sat down with Google and taught myself C++. Well, started to teach myself C++. And I thought the best way of actually learning was to jump in both feet first and make a 2D engine and a GUI framework embedded within that engine. So nothing like a baptism of fire. I've been going on now for the engine for about 6 months, the GUI module about 5 months. So I thought I'd put my initial example up here, get some feedback, see what you guys think about it. Any suggestions, any comments. People tell me I'm an idiot for even trying it, but you know what, it's been a riot, it's been a blast. I've actually enjoyed it, learned a lot about C++, learned a lot about GUI frameworks, and yeah, let's actually just show you it actually. And here we go. So this is my GUI framework. The window itself is managed and created using GLFW, which is a third-party cross-platform OS interaction system, program, application. Basically it creates windows and handles mouse and keyboard input, so it's the bare minimum. I didn't fancy spending a year learning Win32 or XE11 or Cocoa or whatever Mac users. So yeah, GLFW is the only third-party library I use, apart from GLAD, which just exposes OpenGL. So yeah, that manages the window itself, but everything else that you see here is totally internal to my engine and my GUI framework. So I've got an OpenGL batch renderer in the background doing all the drawing every frame. As you can see, it's not struggling at all, 60 frames per second, and this is a 10-year-old Dell laptop, so it's not a beast of a laptop. This batch renderer works flawlessly, and yeah, it seems to be keeping up with what we throw at it. So this is a retained mode GUI, so basically that means all the framework, all the layout, all the gadgets are all defined beforehand, kept in memory, and we just call them and display them when we need them, as opposed to immediate mode like IMGUI or DIMGUI, which basically you have to create the layout every frame as and when you need it, and then it gets deleted every frame after you've used it. Yeah, so retain mode GUIs are quite rare, especially in C++, so it's been interesting learning it. So how is this working? This is a container based system, so we have containers and nested containers and child and parent gadgets. So in the center here, for this simple example, we've got one container which happens to be a scrollable container, which is that there. This can be scrolled with a mouse, with a mouse wheel. There we go. This container here is the parent, and it contains child gadgets and also child containers, which are these here. So we can have basically a hierarchy of parents and children, and every frame the framework will actually calculate the layout and apply any changes if they're required. So as you can see, this container will scale when I resize the window, and some of the gadgets like this one here will scale to fit the container because that's what they've set to do, and some gadgets will change their position because they're set to center, some are set to left aligned, We've also got right align, but it looks stupid, so none of them are set to right align in this example, but it's there if you need it. And we could also have multiple panels, so we could have one panel here or container, we could have another container here, so you could quite easily build up the classic editor system. So you got one panel on the left, an edit box at the top, debug window at the bottom. Yep, that's quite easily doable, and that's how most modern GUI frameworks work. So to the gadgets, we have got some normal tick gadgets here. So these are just individual checkboxes. These are all the same gadgets, all the same code to set them up, apart from we change the label and we assign a different gadget style. So the gadget style handles quite a few things. It handles the colours of the icons. That's why I've got all these nice different colour ticks. Also handles the colour of the text and animations. So if we go down to this one, you'll see how the text moves when we click on it. That is just an animation embedded within the style. So the button style as an animation on click that the text will move 1 pixel right and 1 pixel down. And on release, we've got an animation that moves the text 1 pixel up and 1 pixel left. So that's quite a simple yet powerful animation system combined with the style system. So these are both the same buttons but different styles. This one's got a blue colour style, this one's got a grey colour style. This one's fixed, so it's got a fixed size there. This one is scaled, so it's got a scale size. It will scale to its parent container when you resize the container. The container will scale to its parent window. So it's all very fluid, it's all very automatic, which looks quite cool. To be honest, I quite enjoy that. This is just a combo box drop down. This is another example of the animation. As you can see, when I hover over an item, the blue highlight will just fade in slightly. Again, this is scrollable with a mouse. This is basically just the same type of container as this one, but with a different style attached. So it's got a black background instead of a grey one. We've got collapsible panels here. This one is empty. This one's got a few things in it. As you can see, when we open the panel, the scroll area changes because we've got more content, and all the layout is automatic, so the rest of the gadgets move automatically accordingly. There we go, isn't that nice? So text is rendered using MSDF, which is some clever chap's way of rendering text glyphs. Beyond me, it's all to do with maths and distance from edges and distance from centres and all that stuff. But yeah, it's on the internet. You can find it. Google it, MSDF. It's basically just a simple shader and a multicoloured font atlas, and it just seems to work. So yeah, this text can be of any size, and it will yeah, draw big text, little text. Cardboard box. Yeah, so text input. We got full text input. We can scroll, well, full single line text input at the moment. We can move left and right using the arrow keys, which is nice. We can highlight using shift and the arrow keys. We can delete if we want to. We can text anything we want, or type anything we want. As you can see, it will scroll. If we go over the size of the text box, press enter, resets. We can click anywhere in the text box and enter. This uses gap buffers, which is an industry standard way of entering text. Like most things in the framework, it's full of quirky little things like gap buffers and layout systems, which are difficult to understand, but once you get your head around them, they are very powerful and very intuitive. More on that later. So again, we can have text input for this little spinner gadget here. This is a float spinner, so we can just put 9 and it'll autofill when we press enter. And of course when we press the arrows up or down we get a nice delayed increase or decrease in value, which is nice. Again, so we've got some toggle values here, toggle switches. These are all the same switch. All we're doing is changing the style, and so basically overwriting the colour for every gadget and just changing the label. So we're changing the text. We've got radio gadget here. There we go. Click between two, they're grouped together. Also on that one, we can change the style per gadget, so they can be within the same group, so they work exactly the same, but we can have a red box or a green box or a circle, so we can change the style, the same colour, which is quite flexible. Well, this is what I'm most proud of, to be honest, and it looks quite cool. My value sliders. So you can see they've all got nice little gradients in the background. These are fully definable within the builder code. There we go, fully draggable with the mouse. There we go, lovely, lovely, lovely. But this one here, this is just a blank frame. But if I change the value of the blue slider, you can see the value, the colour within the frame changes, and also the value of the spinner changes. And conversely, if I change the value of the spinner, the slider and the frame colour changes too. So this is an example of linked gadgets. So when we create these gadgets, we can automatically link 2 or 3 or 4 whatever gadgets together. So when we change the value of one, it will automatically go and change the value of its linked gadgets. So there's no sockets, there's no callbacks, there's no signals, there's no cues. It's all automatic when we change one value of one gadget. Again, if we type in 1 there, that goes down to that. If we max out the value, it will automatically max that out and max that out too. Just an example here of a nice little multi-gradient background on a slider bar. So it's early days yet. I've only been doing it for 5 to 6 months, but I think it looks quite nice. It handles well. I've got the core gadgets in there. I've got a menu. I think I'll show you a menu, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm constantly developing it. I'm expanding it, adding more gadgets, more widgets. I'm hoping to build a desktop app on this. So I'm currently using Linux Mint as my dev environment. Everything seems to work there. It should be a simple, it says in speech marks, process of porting this over to Windows. Once I get it working on Windows, I may try to get it working on Mac OS, but I can't stand Mac OS. I haven't used it for 7 years. I think it's an awful operating system, but I will try and get it working on Mac OS at some point in the future. So I just thought I'd put this video up here so I can get some feedback from people, better developers than I, see what people think about it. If they want me to continue or show more videos, please let me know. Before I quit though, I will just show you the actual setup code in VS Code. So I'm using VS Code as my IDE of choice. It works for me. But this is how the code is set up for that very simple example here. As you can see, we have different builders for different types of gadgets, and we use something called a fluent builder system, which basically means you can set optional parameters per gadget when you build it. That saves having an infinite number of constructors per gadget type, which would be horrendous. And as you can see here, that's the main scrollable container that's assigned to the window, and all these other gadgets are assigned to that container. So it's a clear parent-child hierarchy. And this is where the style system is embedded. So that's just a separator bar. We've got a default horizontal separator style. The tip boxes So that one has got a red icon style, that one's got a green icon style, that one's got a blue icon style. So it's just the same copy and paste code. We change the label and change the style, and there we go. You've got totally different gadgets, but they all look the same, which really ticks my OCD box. So yeah, it might look long-winded, but this is just a simple way of spinning up an example, which is yeah, it just shows how easy my system works. This is an example of user interaction. So we can assign event functions or callbacks for every gadget. And we can have multiple functions per event, so we can have multiple pressed functions, we can have release functions, we can have hover functions. So yeah, that really ties it into the app infrastructure really well. So whenever this button here is pressed, it will go and run this function here and do whatever that function tells it to do. So yeah, a very simple but very powerful system. So it's all automatic. You just set it up here and just fire and forget. It will go and call whatever functions it's got. So yeah, that's the end of my little video. I hope you enjoyed looking at my GUI system. I've really enjoyed coding it. I'm still coding it now. I've learned a lot. Yeah, C++, I should have learnt it earlier because it's not that difficult to understand once you get your head around references and pointers and all that crazy memory stuff. And OpenGL is not difficult easy either. I went OpenGL because it's the easiest one to learn. I wasn't going to spend 2 years trying to create a context in Vulkan. Maybe in the future, but right now OpenGL works 60 frames per second. Yeah, it works fine. So yeah, any suggestions for you guys, any feedback? Yeah, you want to call me crazy for creating this immense workload for myself, you crack on. Yeah, but hopefully I'll release some more videos in the future and see how this goes. Thanks guys, I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.